We continue with Chapter 7 in our book, Creating Architectural Floors, on page 7-2. What we're going to do is we're going to create a floor, a concrete slab for this floor plan. So we're going to go to our Architecture tab and then go to the Floor option. And in this case I already had this one made, but I'm going to create a new one. Chances are that in your template this option was not available. So let's say we're going to start with that one, and we're going to edit the type and then duplicate, and we're going to create one called concrete slab 6-inch thick. And then once this is active, I can edit the structure, and in here I'm going to click on that so I can select the material. I'm going to look for concrete, and I'm going to use the cast in place concrete. Hit OK, and it puts it on there, and I'm going to define it as 6 inches thick. Hit OK, and then OK. Alright, so now I have the correct slab material or floor type that I wanted, and by default this tool, the pick walls, is selected. I can sketch my footprint around the perimeter, or a lot of the times it's a lot faster to use the pick wall. So I'm going to pick the perimeter walls, and notice that it's drawing the outline for me. There we go, all the way around. Okay, but notice that it selected the inside of the wall. I actually want my slab to be on the outside of the wall. So what happens if I click on here on the flip? There we go. It flips my outline to the outside perimeter, and that's what I want. Make sure that says 0, because it's going to be right at the same level as my first floor, and then I hit OK. So it draws in a concrete slab in the area that we defined. Let's take a look at it in 3D. There we go. So there's my floor slab, and we can see the edge around the perimeter. Okay. But in the garage it's just a flat slab, and that's not the case that we want. On our handout, let me go find it. Here we go. Notice that we have in the garage, we have a line here that's called a wheel stop. This section of the garage, that slab, is the same elevation as the house slab. So all this is one level. Then we step down 3.5 inches. And then from this point to the front of the garage, the slab slopes so that any water that comes in from a wet car, it can slope away and drain out of there. This wheel stop also serves a purpose so that when you're driving your car into the garage, you have an edge that your wheels can stop before your car, the front end of the car, touches your wall. So that, serves dual purpose. So we're going to draw that. We're going to have a section that's same level as the house, and then we're going to draw a slab that's at an angle sloping out towards the outside. And this flat portion is 4'6" from the exterior wall. So let's draw that. I'm going to go to my floor plan view, and now I'm going to select the slab I just created. I'm going to hover near an edge, and notice that it's trying to select the door, but I'm going to click on the tab on the keyboard until the edge of my slab right there is selected. So I click, and when I do that, I get this option to edit the boundary. I click on that. I'm going to use the line tool to draw the boundary that I want. I'm going to get really close and just trace around the interior face of my wall stud, and I'm just going to eyeball it somewhere about right there. Click here, and finish. Now I need to get rid of this piece here, so I'm going to break it with there, and then trim to corner to clean up these corners. and I have my continuous loop all the way around, and I hit OK. What did that do? Let's take a look. It created a void in that area. Notice the slab continues under my wall. It's down here. But I have a void. This is where I'm going to draw the sloped slab. So let's go back to the floor plan view. Before I do that, I'm going to go back in here and edit the boundary, because this wall needs to be 4'6" from that point. So I'm just going to use my temporary dimensions to tell it 4'6". Now it's correct. Alright. We're going to create a new floor slab here, and we're going to infill that void that we just created. So this time I'm going to use the rectangle tool. So I'm going to snap to there, and then bring it over here to that point. And then I'm going to say OK. Okay, so I've got an independent slab from the one I did first. If we look at it over here, it still looks flat because I haven't told it to slope yet. So it's at the same level as the house. Alright, so let's get in this view and let's look at that. I'm going to select that slab, and then I get this option to modify sub-elements. I click on that, and notice that when I do that, the boundary of that slab that I had selected changed to a dashed green line. So I'm going to click on this edge, and notice that I get an up or a down arrow. So I'm going to click on the number, and I'm going to tell it to go minus 3.5 inches. Hit enter. So what that does is that it moves that slab edge down 3.5 inches from the point it started from. Okay, so let's select that slab again, modify elements, and now I'm going to click on this line. I get my numbers values there. There we go, so you can see it better. And I'm going to click on the number, and I'm going to say minus 5.5 inches. So it moves that slab edge down by that dimension. Let's go back over here to our shaded view so we can see what's going on. Alright, so let's take a look. We step down 3.5 inches here, and then it slopes down to 5.5 inches down over here. And that's what we want for the garage. But now we have a big gap below the garage door. You see that? Well, we need to shift that door down to that level of the garage. So I'm going to select on the door, and I'm not going to move. I'm not going to use the move tool. Instead, when I select the door in the properties, I have an option to type in the sill height. So right now it's set to 0, which is the same level as the floor. And I know that this slab edge in the bottom is 5.5 inches below that point. So here I'm going to type in minus 5.5 inch, and then hit apply, and it shifted that door down to that point. Good. Now we're going to do the front porch. So let's go back to here, and I'm going to bring back my floor plan. Our front porch is 8'6" from here to here, and then 5 feet from this corner. 5 feet, 8'6". So let's draw that floor. I'm going to use reference plane to help me draw this slab. So I'm going to line it up with the edge of my stud there, and then same thing over here, that point, and then start right there. Exit. So I got these two reference planes. I go back to my floor, make sure I have that correct, and I'm going to use my rectangle tool. But this time, before I draw it, I'm going to give it a different offset. I want this slab to be minus 3.5 inches below the first floor level. So I hit apply, and then I'm gonna just click there and right there, and then I hit OK. There's my porch slab. Let's take a look, and it drew it 3.5 inches below my first floor level. That's what we want. And that completes our first floor for the slab, and on the next video we'll continue with the second floor framing.